Do you doubt that doubt holds you back? That's a very interesting question. I did not. I was sure that doubt on the way towards my goals held me back. And today I will help you eliminate doubt, first by explaining what it actually is. Then I'm going to give you some examples, and finally I'm going to explain how to remove it. So what is doubt? Doubt is basically a conflict between two things. We have the heart and the mind. You specifically have a heart and a mind. This is often referred to as the subconscious on the left, the heart. And this is often referred to as the conscious, the mind on the right. And what happens is when one of these resists, then doubt is born. So how it works, for example, is your heart wants something. It could be love, it could be something to do with work, like a specific outcome. But the mind resists. The mind says no. The conscious mind says no. And what happens is you are going to start doubting yourself as a result of this conflict. So the reason you doubt yourself is not because there's necessarily something wrong, but the reason you doubt yourself is because your heart wants one thing, but the mind doesn't want that thing or wants another thing. There's kind of a misalignment. And for example, something with work, if you set yourself a goal of building a business where you actually enjoy working on it, and let's say that you don't like doing sales calls, this is a personal example by the way, then this doubt is going to happen when your heart says, no, I don't want to do sales calls, and the mind says, yes, we need to do sales calls because otherwise we cannot sell our products. So the mind uses reason, but the heart knows that it doesn't need sales calls to make money. You can find evidence of people making a lot of money without sales calls. Definitely a lot of people on X or Twitter that I know of that make a lot of money without sales calls. So the heart knows it's possible, but the mind says no because the mind uses reason, and it possibly has seen this from other people that they use sales calls to close clients. So it insists, no, we need to do sales calls, we need to do sales calls. And this is when you're going to start doubting yourself. Not necessarily because it doesn't work, because sales calls work, but if your heart doesn't want it, then the doubt is going to appear. And it's very difficult to get rid of it, at least until now. So another example is the mind wants something, but the heart resists. So for example, money. The heart does not understand money. Money is something which is created by the mind to make it easier for us to do transactions. You give something and you get something back, and the most of the time you give money in order to get something back. Now your mind understands this logical transaction. Your mind understands that if you give money, then you, for example, get this thing, and the party B gets the money and the party A gets the product. That's kind of the usual cycle of transaction. I'm sure that you understand how that works. However, the problem is that the heart doesn't understand this concept of money. It only understands the product or the outcome or whatever you want. So if you set yourself the goal of making money, the heart is going to be really confused because money isn't really anything. So your heart is going to be like, no, I don't want this. Therefore, you're going to experience doubt on your journey. So if you have set money as your goal and you experience a lot of doubt, like, is it possible for me? Am I actually going to succeed? The kind of key is not to try and figure out what is the best way to make money. The key is to figure out how you can get your heart in alignment with your mind. And how you do that is by focusing on the actual thing itself rather than the money. Okay? So focus on what you want to buy or get or own with this money. Another example is status. So your mind wants status. It wants social recognition. It wants like to be perceived as valuable, as like high up in the kind of societal hierarchy. So what I mean with this, really simply said, is your mind just wants to be seen as someone who is successful. So kind of the status thing. But your heart doesn't understand it. Your heart just wants to be happy and do whatever it wants to do. So whenever you set yourself a goal, and this goal is tied to status, you're also going to experience a lot of doubt. So whenever you set yourself the goal of becoming a professional footballer, not for the football itself, but for the status, then you're going to experience doubt. Another example is whenever you set yourself the goal of building a huge company, not for the sake of the impact, but for the sake of the status, then you're also going to experience doubt. So really question to yourself why you want certain things. And it doesn't only apply to goals, it also applies to actions. So if you take a specific action in order to get more status, you're probably going to experience doubt. If you take a specific action in order to make more money, you're probably going to experience doubt. Okay? So the key is basically, like I mentioned before, to make sure that these are aligned, because doubt is absent when heart and mind are in alignment. And I quickly changed color. I don't even know what this is, by the way. This is a different pen. So the key is to get them in alignment, to get the heart to say yes and the mind to say yes. By the way, for the interested viewer, if both of them say no, there's also alignment. And this is usually in the negative sense. So if you really fear something, your heart is saying no, I don't want it, and your mind is saying no, I don't want it. So then you get it, because both of these are in alignment. Anyway, how do we get these in alignment? Well, the thing is, this alignment pretty much always exists naturally, by default, standard. This alignment is always there. We just have to prevent the resistance that comes up that kind of messes with the whole thing. So how do we do that? Well, understand that doubt is created by desire. This is an emotion. You can also look this up in the vibrational chart. I think it's like one of the lower ones. Desire is here, 125. So doubt is created by desire. Desire means strongly wanting to have something. And if you desire something, you probably know what it means to desire something, then it means you currently don't have it. Energetically, if we look at an energetic level, desiring something means I want something which I do not currently have. Now, and if you desire something, you resist not having it. Really let this sink in, and I'm going to try to maybe go deeper on this point. If you desire something, let's say it's going to be a car. If you really desire a specific car, and as always, I'm excellent at drawing cars. So if you desire a specific car, then it means I want this which I currently do not have. So you are separating yourself from this car. Energetically, if you would look at like quantum physics, the energy side of things, you are saying, I currently don't have this thing, it's separate from me. But the reality is that everything is the same, consists out of the same, which is energy. So in reality, you are the same as the car. You practically already have it. That's kind of how crazy this thing can be. But the thing is, when you desire something, you're in doubt you have it. So that's the reason why desire creates doubt. If you desire something, you are in doubt you have it, and this creates doubt. So doubt is created by desire, as I just explained, but what creates desire? Because, and I kind of already spoiled it here, I should probably get better at like showing this stuff in the time, but what creates desire is importance. So doubt is created by desire, and desire is created by importance. Now, what does importance mean? This is basically the emotional intensity you give to things. So whenever you, for example, watch a movie, then something happens, and for example, let's say that a plane crashes in the movie. You're not going to give as much emotional intensity to this event, even though you might feel it, definitely. You're not going to give as much emotional intensity to this event as if you were actually in the plane and the plane was actually crashing. Because then it would be a lot more important. Do you see where this is going? It will be a lot more important for you to pay attention and not die, obviously. So another example, if the plane experiences some turbulence, and I don't even know if this is a plane, I think you get the point. Anyway, if the plane experiences some turbulence, then you might be okay. But if the plane suddenly starts like really shaking heavily and it's almost crashing, then you're going to experience a lot more emotional intensity or importance, because your life is possibly on the line. So what actually creates importance, because we can go even a layer deeper? Well, what creates importance is self-importance. You might have already guessed this, but the emotional things you give to things that influence you. I was kind of confused when I first read this, but yeah, it basically refers to yourself. So you cannot think something is important unless you think it's important to you, unless you're at the core. If you really want a car, if you really think the car is important, the car itself is not important, the car is important to you. It's relative. It's always in relation to you. It's always relative to you. So we can go even a layer deeper, because what creates self-importance? And this is your ego and your survival instinct. So as I just explained with the plane, if the plane almost crashes down, then your survival instinct is going to kick in because it doesn't want to die. And things like cars, things like goals, things like money, that's something which your ego wants. So your ego attaches importance to it. Your ego attaches importance to not failing. Because if you really think about it, failure, especially if you live in like a Western country, failure is probably not that bad for your survival. You can still have food, you can still have friends, you can still have like shelter. So failure is not bad for your survival instinct. You're not gonna die in a Western country if you fail with your business. But your ego doesn't like failure at all. So it's going to throw up this importance, and that importance, the self-importance, creates importance, and the importance creates desire, and the desire creates doubt. So the reason that you have doubt is because you create desire, because you create importance, because you create self-importance, and your ego and survival instinct create self-importance. So to let go of doubt, that is desire, that is importance, that is self-importance, we have to work on the ego and the fear of death. Now, this topic can go a lot more deep, and I will reserve that for people who are interested, for you to check out the email course below. I go into some more details about this topic as well. Be sure to give that a try. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Hope this point made sense. You now understand how doubt is created, what doubt exactly is, and how to get rid of doubt. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the video, and looking forward to see you in the next one.